the dream that took flight. For centuries, humanity stared at the sky with awe, wondering if we could ever join the birds. Myths and legends, from Icarus with his wax wings to Leonardo da Vinci's flying machines, revealed our obsession with conquering the skies. Yet, for most of human history, flight was considered impossible. But in just 120 years, humanity went from fragile wood and fabric contraptions struggling to lift a single person off the ground, to sleek supersonic jets crossing oceans in hours, and now to electric aircraft promising a new era of clean, sustainable flight. This is the story of aviation innovation, a journey of dreamers, engineers, wars, technology, and the relentless push toward the skies. Chapter 1. The Wright Brothers and the First Leap, December 17, 1903. A cold, windy morning in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Two brothers, bicycle mechanics from Ohio, changed the world forever. Orville and Wilbur Wright built the first powered, heavier-than-air flying machine capable of sustained, controlled flight. The Wright Flyer flew just 12 seconds, covering 120 feet, shorter than the wingspan of a modern jumbo jet. Yet, in those 12 seconds, the impossible became reality. Unlike earlier pioneers, the Wrights solved not just the problem of lift, but of control. With their system of wing warping and rudder coordination, the Flyer could be maneuvered. It wasn't just flying, it was controlled aviation. Their invention was ridiculed at first, but soon, governments and militaries realized the potential. The age of aviation had begun. Chapter 2. Aviation in Wartime, the First World War. Barely a decade later, fragile biplanes that once amazed spectators were pressed into battle during World War I. At first, aircraft were used for reconnaissance, but soon, machine guns were mounted to create dogfights in the skies. Pilots became both warriors and celebrities, men like the Red Baron, Manfred von Richthofen, whose Scarlet Fokker triplane struck fear into the skies. The war accelerated aviation technology dramatically. Stronger engines, more reliable structures, and coordinated tactics transformed flimsy wooden craft into machines of deadly precision. By the end of the war, aviation was no longer a novelty. It was a strategic necessity. Chapter 3. The Golden Age of Flight, Between the Wars. The 1920s and 30s were the golden age of flight. Aircraft were now used for adventure, exploration, and the first steps of commercial travel. This was the era of daring aviators. Charles Lindbergh's solo nonstop flight across the Atlantic in 1927 captured global attention. Amelia Earhart inspired generations by proving women could conquer the skies, even attempting a round-the-world flight. Air shows, races, and record-setting flights turned pilots into international celebrities. Meanwhile, commercial aviation slowly took root. Companies like Pan Am and Imperial Airways began offering long-distance passenger flights, luxurious but costly, reserved for the wealthy. Airships, like the majestic Hindenburg, briefly stole the spotlight. Floating hotels in the sky, they represented elegance and grandeur, until tragedy struck in 1937, when the Hindenburg exploded in flames, marking the end of the airship era. Chapter 4. Aviation in World War II. The sky as a battlefield. World War II brought aviation to its most decisive role yet. Aircraft were no longer supporting actors, they were central to the war effort. From the iconic Spitfire defending Britain during the Battle of Britain, to the Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress raining bombs over Europe, airplanes became tools of strategy and survival. Technological leaps defined this era. Radar, pressurized cabins, long-range bombers, and fighter planes capable of exceeding 400 miles per hour. And at the war's end, another revolution. The jet engine. In 1939, Germany's Heinkel. Ha-178 became the first jet-powered aircraft. By war's end, jets like the Messerschmitt Me 262 showed the future of flight. Faster, sleeker, deadlier. World War II transformed aviation from fragile wood and fabric machines into high-powered marvels of engineering. And when peace returned, these technologies spilled into the civilian world. Chapter 5. The Jet Age. The 1950s marked the dawn of the jet age, an era when flight became faster, smoother, and more accessible. In 1952, the de Havilland Comet became the world's first commercial jet airliner. Though plagued by early accidents, it paved the way for giants like Boeing and Douglas. The Boeing 707 soon defined international travel, slashing journey times and introducing the world to mass air travel. Suddenly, oceans shrank. New York to Paris in hours, not days. The world became interconnected like never before. Airports expanded, air traffic systems evolved, and aviation became not just for the elite, but for ordinary people. The sky was no longer the limit. It was a highway. Chapter 6. Supersonic Dreams. If jets redefined travel, supersonic flight pushed its boundaries. In 1969, the Anglo-French Concorde roared into the skies, capable of flying at Mach 2, twice the speed of sound. Passengers could have breakfast in London and lunch in New York, crossing the Atlantic in just over 3 hours. The Concorde was an icon of luxury and engineering brilliance, but it was also costly, noisy, and fuel-hungry. Despite its glamour, only a handful of Concordes ever flew, serving mainly the wealthy. Yet, supersonic flight symbolized the boldness of aviation. It showed that speed was not just a dream, it was achievable. The era also gave birth to military supersonics like the SR-71 Blackbird, an aircraft so fast it could outrun missiles. The dream of faster-than-sound travel lit imaginations, even if commercial viability remained elusive. Chapter 7. From Concorde to Commercial Giants. While Concorde dazzled with speed, another revolution was happening with size and efficiency. In 1970, the Boeing 747, the Queen of the Skies, took flight. With its distinctive hump and double-deck design, it carried more passengers than any plane before it. Suddenly, long-haul travel became accessible to the masses. The 747 wasn't just a plane, it was a cultural icon. It carried astronauts, heads of state, and millions of ordinary travelers. In the decades that followed, aircraft like the Airbus A380 pushed size even further, carrying over 800 passengers in some configurations. Meanwhile, the Boeing 777 and 787 Dreamliner focused on fuel efficiency, comfort, and long-range capabilities. Commercial aviation had matured. It was no longer about speed, but about connecting the world affordably and reliably. Chapter 8. Digital Skies. The Age of Smart Aviation. The late 20th and early 21st centuries brought a new revolution: digital technology. Cockpits transformed from analog dials to glass displays. Fly-by-wire systems replaced mechanical controls with computer-assisted precision. GPS revolutionized navigation, while advanced weather radar improved safety. Air traffic control entered the digital age, managing the growing complexity of thousands of flights per day. Safety improved dramatically, making aviation one of the safest forms of travel. Airlines also embraced the digital revolution. From online booking to sophisticated maintenance systems, aircraft became flying computers, optimizing fuel efficiency and safety. This digital transformation was quieter than the jet engine, but just as profound. It made modern aviation not only possible, but safe, reliable, and efficient. Chapter 9. The Push for Sustainability. As the 21st century progressed, a new challenge loomed: climate change. Aviation, responsible for a significant share of global emissions, came under scrutiny. The industry responded with innovations: lighter composite materials, more efficient engines, and biofuels. Airlines committed to carbon-neutral goals, while manufacturers explored radical designs like blended-wing aircraft. Electric and hybrid propulsion entered the conversation, promising a new chapter where planes could fly without fossil fuels. Companies like Airbus, Boeing, and startups worldwide began experimenting with sustainable flight. The challenge was clear: keep humanity flying, but protect the planet. Chapter 10. Electric Wings and the Future of Flight. And now the horizon reveals electric wings. In recent years, experimental electric planes have taken to the skies. Small prototypes like the Pipistrel Velis Electro became the first certified electric trainer. Startups like Aviation's Alice promise regional electric flights with zero emissions. Meanwhile, concepts of urban air mobility, electric air taxis, and drones are no longer science fiction. Companies are racing to build the first fleets of air taxis that could transform city transportation. Hydrogen-powered aircraft are also emerging as a potential game-changer, offering long-range sustainable travel. We stand today at a moment just as revolutionary as Kitty Hawk in 1903. The next 120 years could see not just electric planes, but autonomous flying taxis, hypersonic passenger craft, and perhaps even commercial spaceflight, as routine as today's airliners. Humanity's endless horizon. From fragile wooden wings at Kitty Hawk to electric aircraft humming quietly into the future, the story of aviation is the story of human ambition. Each generation dared to push further. The Wright brothers proving flight was possible. Wartime engineers pushing speed and power. Concorde chasing supersonic dreams. The 747 shrinking the world. And today's innovators reimagining flight for a sustainable planet. The past 120 years took us from dreamers to doers. The next 120 will define not just how we fly, but how we live on this planet, and perhaps beyond it. Because for humanity, the sky has never been the limit. It is only the beginning.